Festus, on an important note, though, Jewish communities in the capital will, of course, be feeling very, very anxious today. They will be feeling, of course, this ripple effect into Britain. Australians are very close cousins to us. We share a lot in common with them. I suspect the Jewish community in parts of London who have seen a lot of the marches across the capital, many of them will say it's anti-Semitic. Many of them will point to some of the marches that have taken place and say they are concerned about the people attending those. Do you think this increased visibility is going to give anyone the reassurance they need?
You know, Ben, I was speaking with a very good friend this morning when more and more news was coming out, and especially when the death toll started to rise. And he said to me, Festus, where can I go now? Where can I go now and be safe? Where can I go? And for me, that really made the penny drop. You know, and it shouldn't really be so surprising to the powers that be in this country, because our Jewish neighbors have been saying this for a long time, that they don't feel safe. And people will use all kind of flowery language to kind of say, well, you know, Zionism and Israel and Jewish, then all of those are separate things. But if people are saying to us, they don't feel safe, they can't walk through Parliament Square, they can't walk through parts of London, they can't walk through parts of our city, they don't feel safe past some of these protests, and we just gaslight them and tell them, well, nothing to see here. And here we are, we have people in this country now saying to us, where can I go?
And Festus, one of my Jewish friends called me today, and I asked him, what's the reality like for... And he's quite religious, he's a very strong believer of his faith. So what's the reality like for you in London? He lives in North London. And he says, well, I don't display anything that can identify me as a Jew at all. I make sure before I drive to the synagogue that I check to see if anyone is following me. He said, my family looking over his shoulder. He's just had a little baby. He is very seriously considering leaving the United Kingdom because he just does not believe that the authorities have got a grip on this issue. What can be done, Festus, to reassure Jews in Britain that we're not returning to some 1930s-style Nazi Germany?
The first thing for me, and we have got to be absolutely unequivocal about this, because we do the same thing if it's, you know, black people like me who was raising concerns about racism. We do the same thing for our Muslim friends if they're talking about Islamophobia. When our Jewish neighbors are talking about how they feel on the streets of Britain, we have got to listen to them and take them seriously. I am not sure if at the moment we're doing that anywhere near enough as we ought to, or as we do in other cases. That's the first thing. Secondly, there's got to be a robust enforcement of the law against those people who are inciting hate on our streets across the board. And the third thing I'll have to say is this, that, look, I would like to hope that what we are seeing here with this extra patrols, which, you know, if you look in the news, it's happening in New York, in LA, in Ireland as well. Right across the Western world, we are seeing more and more of this ramping up of security from policing, that this is not just a reactive response. And I would like to think that there's a proactive work going on behind the scenes to try and deal with these issues before they arise. Otherwise, I'm afraid it's just not going to be enough reassurance for people, because it is always a response after the event, and that would not be good enough, of course.
Indeed, indeed. You know, when we think about the children here, who are always first, when it comes to my mind at least, Festus, Jewish schools, you know, they're not allowed to have glass windows because it's too dangerous, because someone might throw a brick through the window and hurt the child. I mean, the Jewish community have been living with this for a very, very, very long time. Why is it now that it's getting to the peak of anti-Semitism? Why is it growing now, in your opinion?
Look, there is no doubt. Look, we've got in this country, for goodness sake, we've got MPs. We've got members of parliament who, for whatever reason of their own volition, they have taken up causes that goes far beyond dealing with, British issues, supporting British citizens here in Britain, to advocating for things that are thousands of miles away from here that just agitate some other members of the public. We have got, policing in this country, for goodness sake, that stops a team from Israel from playing football in Britain because of concocted evidence, which we now know one of the senior officers have had to apologize for the evidence that was given before Parliament. We made this happen.
Yeah,
The
indeed.
authorities made this happen, and I'm sorry to say I'm quite angry about this. Because after speaking with my friend this morning, it kind of just escalates things for me that it should not be so surprising that we're now seeing this fear amongst some of our residents in this country, and it's a crying shame. It really is.
OK. Festus Akinbisoye, former Police and Crime Commissioner, thank you so much for joining me to give me your thoughts on